Oh, this isn't working. Okay, hold on. It's not on yet. Wait, it is recording. Hi,
It
guys.
is recording. It
It's
said streaming.
recording.
It said like 15 seconds to streaming. What does that mean?
Because we can record and video at the same time. Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy. This is Jennifer, and we are your Divine Besties. And y'all, we warned
You
you
can
at
tell
the
that we
beginning
don't
of
know what we're
this.
doing.
No, this is all about trial and error, and you get to
Pretty
be a
much.
part of the voyage. So this isn't stressful at all. It's interesting though, Jen, because lately with our podcast, we've been trying to stay very serious and very like, here, guys, how can we give you advice? And the last podcast was slightly off the rails, and today we're getting it right back on the rails a little bit. How has your week been?
It's I think it's been like any other week. It's been up and down and loop-de-loops and
Stress. Lots of stress. Lots of stress. How do you deal with your stress with everything? I mean, you always, and it's funny because I get asked this way myself too with all of my soul work. How do you deal with your stress? Do you have an outlet? How do you deal with life? How do you deal with, everything being so busy? And what I have to ask you, Mama, is how do you cope with your stress? And how do you cope with being a mom and juggling everything that you juggle?
well, I think it's important for people to understand the difference first between stress and anxiety
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people think they're the same and they can feel very similar, but they're not.
That's actually quite interesting. Now, can anxiety cause you stress or stress cause anxiety?
Well, they can go together. Um, and the feelings are the same. So remember that all this comes, it's biological, right? So whether you're feeling anxious or stressed, your brain is going to launch chemicals. And the two main chemicals are cortisol and adrenaline.
They don't sound fun.
So so when you're anxious, that's why like you get that we say adrenaline rush, but oftentimes we think that in a good thing, but your adrenaline is kicking with anxiety. Stress is the same way. The difference between the two is that stress is short acting, right? Anxiety is like almost like a state, and hopefully it does not become a permanent state, but it's a state of being. So stress is, oh my gosh, I have so much on my plate. How am I going to get through it? Like you and I were literally just talking about this like an hour ago. You were saying to
Literally.
me, my plate is overflowing and I feel like I'm letting everybody down. And I'm going, you're not letting everybody down. You just have a lot on your plate and it's learning how to organize it and manage it.
And
But
make
the
it look
feeling is the same.
pretty.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I said it making the plate like pretty and presentable and not some spaghetti mess dinner with meatballs falling all over it. This is where the meatball song came from.
So,
People being
but you know
stressed.
what? The plate doesn't always have to be pretty and presentable. And who cares if the meatball is falling off? Because sometimes things just have to fall off that are not important.
But society says different, Jennifer.
You know what I say to that, right?
Everybody says different. We're supposed to push through. We're supposed to make it okay. We're supposed to lean in and smile and just keep going. And I almost say that that's kind of unhealthy to an extent. Would you agree?
Well, it's not only unhealthy, it's unrealistic, and frankly, it's not allowing you to be authentic,
Facts.
right?
Facts.
So,
Yes.
I mean, I literally said this to you yesterday, right? When in one of our many conversations, um, I
We
was
just
telling
need
you
to
how
with microphones all day, so
all
we can
day,
actually record these things.
I was telling you how one of my consistent messages to my daughter is just, she just needs to be her. I'm always like, you do you, and try not to worry about what other people are thinking. So you had said you start off by saying, how do I deal with stress? So obviously we all deal with it differently. We all react differently. I internalize and I'll think and think. I've even sent you a text yesterday. I'm processing my thoughts because I have to think about things and try to figure out, okay, what can I address and what is either out of my realm
That's yeah.
or just not important. Because if it's out of my realm, why am I stressing about it? And if it's not important, why am I stressing about it? But here's what I can identify and address. So for me, step one is I got to process. I will also tell you, I do some type of physical activity every single day. I will work out every day. Now, for those of you who work out, you're probably thinking, no, you're supposed to have a rest day. People, I do. So calm down. I do. But my rest day, I still do some type of movement, even if it's just going for a walk. That's my time. That's mama's time. And I do it first thing in the morning. And my husband might be working out with me. I don't really talk during that time. That's my quiet time, and if I don't do it, I feel off. So for me, that's how I can try to keep things. But then sometimes things just get out of control in my brain. And I end up, I'm not gonna lie, I ended up looking at my husband and like probably saying something far more snappy than I intend. But he's also my sounding board. And he understands me, so he'll let me
have your moment.
let me have a moment. And then he'll be like, all right, you feel better? And not really, but yes.
Because the situation is still there. Yeah.
But I think it's important. It's important to recognize those signs within ourselves. When we can feel things starting to creep up, it's really important to recognize what those signs are. And of course, it's different for everybody. So like for me, this is crazy. For me, I know that I'm starting to get stressed if my nails start to break.
Okay, that is a very valid thing, 100%, yes. Because your body will keep the score. There is a book that I will tell everybody about that says your body keeps the score. We talk about that all the time. I have lupus. I have a basket full of autoimmune diseases, and any kind of stress can very easily send me into bed for the day, the week, the month. It doesn't matter. Because the stress, the cortisol in your hormones it can take you out. I mean, it can look at broken heart syndrome. That's the stress of losing the loved one, the stress of grief, so stress really does. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense with your nails. Yeah, because your body screams for it, And
I take collagen every day, but as I shared on a previous episode, my position was laid off, right? And I had good, strong nails. And then all of a sudden I'm looking down and they're chipping and they're breaking. And it's been, I don't know how many months now, they're just now starting to grow back out.
Yep. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Other people will get GI issues, like all of a sudden, I mean, not to be gross, y'all, but they're like, I gotta get to the bathroom. Just physically your body reacts. So again, if you don't know what your emotional and physical signs of stress are, take some time to do some introspection, and become aware of it. Because once you become aware of it, I always say this, and I've said this to you in the past, Stacy, right? Where I've said, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it.
Correct.
Once you become aware of something, you can no longer claim that you don't know anymore. So what I always say is, once you learn something, now you have a decision of what you do with that information. So once you learn about your signs of stress, what are you going to do about it?
And it's interesting because I'll talk to clients in sessions. And the one thing that people don't expect me to do when I start with my sessions is to basically analyze you with one word, hello. And I can go down your entire life path. I did that to your brother-in-law, for God's sakes, the other day.
And that's not how you say hello. You're like, hello, like Mrs. Doubtfire.
I love Mrs. Doubtfire. But it's just one of those things. Exactly. Hello. But it's a gift, okay? And what's interesting to me, though, is that I can feel people's stress. I can feel people's anxieties. And the one thing that you and I have been talking about, and people have seen it on social media, are these duo sessions that you and I keep talking about. And there are questions about this because people are like, well, Stacy, are you going to still do your sessions? And I'm like, yeah, but Jennifer's going to be my partner in this, because not only are you amazing at coaching, you can help give tools to the people that I see the problems with and feelings with, instead of just them walking away going, well, wow, yeah, she's right. I do have a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
No, now it can be, wow, she's right. I do have
that.
a lot of stress. And Jennifer's there to go, but you don't have to live with it. Let's work on this. And I love that about our sessions together with people and clients.
Yeah. And there are some sessions, depending on what type of session it is,
Yes.
that they're going to meet with me one-on-one beforehand as almost like a pre-check-in.
Yes. And this also goes for, okay, you guys, I kind of like the camera thing. This is fun. Other than my cat Peaches, and you guys have seen her before on Miguel and Holly, she's over here just rubbing the desk as much as possible. So if you see my camera move, it's not me. It's completely her. Any hooties. So the most beautiful thing about, sorry, I get emotional with you, kid. You change so many lives and so many things with just 3 or 4 words. And I know I'm going completely off of whatever I was just talking about, but sometimes gifts happen and sometimes I just have to talk. And this is one of those divine moments of, Jennifer, you're doing the right thing with the coaching with me. It's so cool to help somebody through grief. If I have a session where somebody's just lost their mom, their brother, all of those kinds of deep-seated, oh my gosh, I can't function, instead of going, well, you should really find a support group. Instead of saying, I wish I could give you a friend, or here, have somebody who can, help you through this. There's Jennifer, you guys. Like, she is that person who can coach you through the deep, deep stuff. She, not only can I sit there and go, oh, hey, this is what's wrong and this is how you fix it, Jennifer will help you and give you the tools to fix it. And you're not going to be by yourself doing it. And past life regressions, back on track. We're doing these where it's Jennifer's going to ask questions and make sure that we have not done a past life regression before. And she's also going to run questions to make sure that you can emotionally handle some of the trauma that might show up with what we may feel, what we may see, what we may go through in those past life regressions. Because unfortunately, when you do past life regressions, you also get to see the end of what happened in that life. Does that make sense, Jen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then when we're done, especially with the life regression sessions, the regression sessions, as they're called.
The regression sessions.
They're going to meet with me after as well.
Yes.
Just a quick one-on-one check-in. And, I'm going to say, and you'll see this on the website, our sessions do not replace therapy. They do not replace physical exams with your physician. It doesn't replace any of that.
Entertainment purposes only, y'all.
But what I'm very comfortable saying to somebody is, when's the last time you had a physical? If you haven't had one, go get one, get some blood work done. I'm very comfortable saying, have you been in therapy in the past? You might want to consider either continuing or starting, just to continue to explore these issues, or these not issues. I hate that word, issues. Sorry. These thoughts, these experiences,
challenges sometimes.
These opportunities on a deeper level.
Yes.
I got to be really clear with that, is that I don't have, although I have my license, I'm not providing therapy.
Nope. She's
Stacy
a coach.
is not providing therapy.
I'm a coach.
We are coaching, we are guiding, we are cheering you on, we're applauding you. And we're hoping that for those of you who meet with us, that you'll stay in touch with us, because we want to hear the progress that you make. Because once a bestie, always a bestie. That's my attitude.
That's it. I mean, we are the divine besties, and it's not just me and Jennifer. We're a family. And I do want to set up places where people feel safe to be like, hey, I've got gifts and I'm exhausted. Jennifer, let's talk about those who have the gifts and may or may not have the anxiety with the gifts. Because, I mean, you and I have talked about it, because you are one of my, you're my best friend. The anxiety that I carry. I used to be an agoraphobe. I used to have, you can ask my husband, couldn't leave the house. I had OCD so severe to where it was, I couldn't wear a shirt because something bad would happen that day if I wore that shirt. I couldn't go to the store. because what if I passed out? And if I passed out, then what would happen to me? And I would die.
And y'all
You would go down
understand
the whole thing of it.
that this is a great example of this is not stress.
Right.
These are different diagnoses that are often accompanied with anxiety.
Yep.
But this is not stress. Stress, like I said, short term. Short term. How long did it take for you, Stacy Renee, to learn how to cope with those intrusive thoughts and those obsessive behaviors, those compulsive behaviors?
I
How
lost
long?
180 pounds when I divorced him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because this is another thing that we don't realize is that those relationships that we surround ourselves with, sometimes those people are causing us the stress, the anxiety. And a lot of the times we don't really, until we do a lot of retrospect to understand where the connections are and why we're in the relationships we're in. And when you start putting yourself above people in a sense of, hey, I deserve this too, you start to see different things and you start to see different perspectives of the way you should be treated.
Yeah.
And that causes stress sometimes to people or anxiety to people. You know?
Yeah. And oh my gosh, there are so many thoughts going through my head after that, Stacy. Again, this is like a phone call with us because we get into these conversations just on the phone. My first thought is that it goes back to the whole, not trying to sound Freudian, but like, what happened in your childhood?
Right.
It's the whole nature versus nurture argument. And Stacy, you and I have talked about this many times. So essentially, what's in your DNA versus what type of environment were you raised in? And it's not ever 50-50 in regards to how it influences who you are, what your personality is, the choices that you make. It can be 60-40, it can be 70-30, 90-10, right? And when I say environment, I mean, where were you living? What is your neighborhood like? What school did you go to? What friends did you have? What was your family home like? 2 parents, 1 parent, parents divorced, 1 parent died, 1 parent was absent. I mean, there's, military experience. Were you moving around all the time? Were you homeless? I mean, it's your entire environmental factor. It influences who you are, just like your DNA does. And I will tell you, like, don't call me up and be like, okay, well, here's my situation. What's the balance? I don't know.
Yeah, that's your handout. That's
your
your voyage to
right.
take.
I'm gonna give you 2 examples. So back in the day, I called it serving time. I worked for a year in an adolescent psychiatric facility. I learned a ton. Well, I
Oh,
should say adolescent.
wow.
So like as young as 5, as old as 17.
Wow.
And I can tell you, I had one client who on paper had everything going for him. His parents were married. They had a healthy marriage. They were gainfully employed. He had food on the table. He had a bed to sleep in every night. They met all the requirements to be in the program. So they came to family therapy, the required times every single week. They made sure he showed up for the program daily. They drove him. They picked him up. They were there. And yet he still wanted to set fire to everything. I don't know, like but it's like you had everything going for you. But then I had another client who had the exact opposite. And I won't even get into the details of what happened to this child because it's horrific.
Yeah.
But this child had this resiliency. So I can't explain to you why they each responded to their situations in such completely different ways. But I just want to give you the example that it's different for everybody. So you can have the most amazing environment being brought up in and still have challenges and struggles. Or you could have the absolute worst environment and there's this resiliency being shown. This is why probably like I pursued psychology as one of my majors, because it's like the human psyche. I'm like, wow, this is like I could talk about this forever.
Well, because, and then you look at, all right, so my life was never the easiest. And I always attribute it to my gifts because, when you're doing God's work, it says it in all the holy books. Those stories are all about people who go through the hardest troubles and tribulation. Thank you, Peaches.
Peaches is out.
Peaches is out and loving life right now. She is just, if you hear purring, it's because she's making friends with my microphone at the moment. Any hooties, my life was not the easiest. My dad's a narcissistic human being. My mother had a lot of trauma, which also gave her narcissistic tendencies. And if you ask anybody who watched me grow up and that's still around in my life, they say, I don't know how you ended up as normal as you are. And it's true. There's that resiliency because you have those choices to say, well, I can do this or I can do that. And if you're in depth enough with yourself to be open enough to say, these are where I should make changes, and understanding that we all have triggers, but it's nobody else's responsibility to fix those triggers but you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and that's you can say that with strength.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could say that even 10 years ago. I don't know if I could say that. It for most of us, it takes time to get to that place of confidence to be able to, number one, recognize our missteps, because we all have them. We all take missteps. Number two, own it.
Yeah.
Hold ourselves accountable, because at some point we can't keep blaming the situations anymore. We have to go, okay, what can I do? What can I do to change things? And then start taking those steps to make those changes. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying that there are not people out there who just seem to have just every single boulder thrown at them. I get it. I really do. I will also say that you can have two people, typically siblings, 2, 3, 4 people
Yep.
who will experience the same situation, right? But they're going to process it and respond to it totally differently.
Both of my girls can tell you they are the moon and the sun. Their personalities are night and day. My oldest is type H, with her mind is so sharp, and on the outside she is the most unorganized. We laugh because she just I have diapers here and stuff because she just loses everything because her mind is so boink all over the place. And then I have my youngest daughter, and she reminds me of you. She's very put together, and she's very, everything is the way it needs to be. And she's going to college, and she's got this and she's got that. And it's just, they were raised the exact same way. They were raised, and it's just their personalities. It's just who they are. And there was something you said about raising a family with a mom and a dad and husband and wife being in one house. And while there's so many relationships and that I hear about that stay together, and I am not somebody who's like, oh, hey, go get a divorce. That's not me. But I will say, if you're in a relationship with somebody, and just because you're married and you guys are kind of like roommates, your kids are watching that. Sometimes being together and staying together is more toxic than being apart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you're you're going to be the example for those relationships.
Yeah, you're when you, whether you're the bio parent, an aunt and uncle, even an adult friend, somebody who plays a prominent role in a child's life, everything you do, they're watching, and you're modeling the behavior. And I got, again, Stacey, I said this to you, I don't know, a couple of days ago. I'm like, I have no problem saying to my child, you know what? I didn't handle that very well.
Right.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, believe me, I'm not saying that I have figured out this whole mom thing. I will tell you, I have an amazing child, and we can have conversations that I am going to guess that I think are pretty uncommon between a parent and a child, because she is insanely smart. Her IQ is like off the charts. So I can't just be like, I'm fine. And she's like, no, you're not. So just
right.
she literally said to me, one day when I knew she wasn't good, and I'm like, no, tell me what's going on. And she literally said to me, and I think she said this on her episode, well, you tell me you're fine when you're not. So why would I tell you something different? And I was like, I got it. I got it. Kids watch everything. Everything.
My Aunt Mary and Uncle Norman, they live in Boston. My Aunt Mary is probably the most genuinely kindest person I've ever met in my life. Where if anything happened, somebody had passed, or there was a family tragedy, or, she was the first person to bring food to someone's house. New neighbor, bring food. An ambulance will go by and she prays. Like, the woman, she's just everyone's best friend. And growing up, watching that when we would go to Boston and visit her, I was like, I want to be that. Like, I want to be that. I don't care what kind of life I've had. I need that. I need to be somebody who's going to make that kind of difference for somebody. And if you didn't know me 20 years ago, I was probably the most shyest human being you'll ever meet. I'm very introverted at times, and I'm very awkward. And when I opened a photography business, I had called her and I'm like, how do you get out of your comfort zone to start talking to strangers? And she said, you don't, you just do. And that's my advice for you guys today, is just do. If just go say hi to somebody, make a small conversation, open a door for a stranger and say, good afternoon. Have a great day. It doesn't take anything to change someone's life.
My maternal grandmother was like that. She could strike up a conversation literally with anyone. Yeah. And may she rest in peace. My God, I desperately hope I'm just like her when I'm older. I don't think I will be, only because she was so good at, let me be direct. She could tear you a new one and you didn't know it. She was so kind about it. And you'd be like, thank you. And then you'd process it later. You'd be like, wait a minute.
That is amazing.
I'm like, I will not be like her in that aspect, because I'm way too direct. If I'm saying something to you, you're gonna know. You're gonna know. But we would tease her. We'd be like, how many friends did you make today? True story, Stacy. True freaking story. She and my grandfather took me and my sister and my two of my cousins on a cruise when we were like between the ages of 12 and 14, I think. I don't know, 11 and 13. I don't know, something like that. We were all in middle school. We go to find her. We're like, okay, where is she? She's up, of course, like on, Lido deck, whatever, on a lounge chair, talking to some woman. Turns out they went to school. They went to elementary school together. Right, that's you. Yeah. And so I'm talking to her, I'm like, how did you? She goes, I just sat down and just started talking to her. I didn't know her until we started making the connections. I'm like, I'm middle-aged and I still struggle with that.
So my friend that I can't feel, we've grown up together and never realized it was like 6 years into our friendship, and we were talking about church one day, and he had said something about a name, and I'm like, I know that name. Wait a second, where'd you go to church growing up? They tell me. I'm like, I went there. Her like, hold on. Did you just go for a couple years? Turns out we have all these friends that are all the same. We've grown up together, never meeting. And then when we get to chit-chatting and they're the same way as I am. We make friends with doorknobs. And we've met people who are like, oh my gosh, you should meet this one person. They remind me so much of you, because they can just speak friendly and da-da-da-da-da. Turns out the same person. And it's amazing how souls all find each other again throughout life. And if you do make conversations, if you do make small talk with people, you'd be shocked by how many connections you have to them throughout your life, and how God does keep us in soul families. And it's crazy, but I'm serious. Make those talks. My grandmother was the same way. And my mom would make fun of her. She was a crazy old lady that would walk around cash and carry. And now I know I'm dating myself. It's an old grocery store that doesn't exist anymore. But she was this 4'9" little old lady who knew everybody by name, and my mom would patronize her for this. And when my mom would see me doing it, she's like, "Oh, you're just like your grandmother," and make fun of me. And I'm like, but I'd rather people know me as somebody who's kind. And, I had a cop stop me once and say, "Well, you're really too nice, so you've got to be hiding something." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." This is just who I am. And it doesn't take a lot. If you're having a crappy day, it's not anybody else's fault. So, you know what I mean? Like, we have to start taking accountability for our own actions. We have to start taking accountability for the energy we give out.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't care how stressed out you are,
No, it does. But the reality is, like, for us to take accountability for our actions oftentimes means that sometimes we have to say we screwed up.
People have a very difficult time doing that sometimes, because that's a sign of weakness.
Says who?
Society.
Yeah.
It's right back into stress.
We're never wrong. I mean, but it's okay to be wrong. I mean, I remember early on in my leadership career, I told whatever team I was working with, I was like, "Hey, I made a mistake here." And people were shocked. And I actually had people come up to me afterwards privately to say, "You don't understand. Our past leader never admitted any wrongdoing and would take credit for what we did and would deny and blame us if we didn't meet our visitation frequencies each week, whatever the case may be." And I'm like, no, if I screw up, I screw up.
Right.
Now, again, like I said before, once you learn something, once you become aware of something, you can't unlearn it. You can't deny you know it. So what are you going to do with that information? Same thing. Once you learn from a mistake, what do you do with that? If you choose to keep repeating it, well, you know what? I will tell you, any sympathy I have for you is going to go right out the window, because now you know the stove is hot, but you keep putting your hand on it and then you keep crying because your hand is burning. Okay, sorry. What do you want me to say? You know the stove's hot, but you keep doing it. So you are accountable for that action.
You have to. There's a lot of people I speak to that are in and out of situationships. And, well, this person, they like me, but they don't want a relationship with me. But I like them, but they don't acknowledge me the way I want them to be acknowledging me. And I went back and I'm like, if they're not giving you the attention, they're not worth your time. If they're not doing for you what you could, I don't know how to explain it better than saying
it comes down to your non-negotiables and your values.
Yes.
I've said to my daughter for years,
requirements of a relationship and people in this.
And not just romantic, friendship, familyship, anything. What are your values? What are your non-negotiables? And if somebody violates those, and by violate, I don't mean,
touchy, it's other things. Yeah.
Yeah. It's if somebody goes against any of those, you have to decide, what are you going to do about it? Is it bad enough where it's like the relationship, whatever it is, it ends? Or is it one where you reestablish your boundaries and you go, okay, so this person, remember, here's what you learn in kindergarten: actions speak louder than words. Our actions, our behaviors show everybody who we truly are. Okay. So if somebody through their behaviors goes against your core values, goes against your non-negotiables, you have to decide, how are you going to handle that moving forward? And P.S., you can't change them, so don't go there.
You don't have the power. No. And that's a very huge thing people, it depends on who you talk to. Society is very big on family and the family union. And while I am big on that as well, family's everything. If there's somebody in your family related to you by blood, I don't care if it's a child, I don't care if it's a cousin, I don't care if it's a parent, you don't deserve abuse, you don't deserve being a second thought, and you don't deserve being treated like garbage. If somebody can't value or respect your boundaries, or at least respect you as a human being, it's okay to set them off to the side. Am I saying cut them off for life? No, but I'm saying use your words, make boundaries, and put aside the guilt because you're doing the right thing for yourself. It doesn't always have to be about them and doing the right thing for them. Sometimes, like I said in the beginning, putting yourself first and above others is sometimes more healthier, and it takes away a little bit more stress and anxiety with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how it causes so many people so much stress to put themselves above others.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that.
And to stay true to your values. And I will challenge anybody who's listening, if you don't know what your values are, what your non-negotiables are, I challenge you, go write them down.
Yes.
Write them down.
I tell
Make
people
it
that all the
concrete.
time. Yep, write down. And when women are looking for men, and I've even said this to men looking for women, or men looking for men and women looking for women, you have got to write it down. You need to be concrete, sequential about eyes, attitude, how they problem solve, how they make a list of what you want with those requirements, and don't differ. If you meet somebody who's like, oh my gosh, they love me for who I am. No, they don't. Get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
Find out who they really are. It takes time, and not even that. Make sure they treat you well. Make sure it's a give and take. It's not just you earning them.
Yeah. And remember, as adults, again, you're modeling all different types of relationships to children that are in your life. And oops, hello.
I
Is that
love
Peaches
this.
again?
It's 100% this cat, who is now just,
Peaches.
yeah, she's great. She's my oldest daughter's cat. Yep,
That's
yep,
funny.
yep. Okay.
But what I was going to say was, there are things that even when we are children, we walked away with that we wanted in our relationships. Again, not just romantic, but even your familial, your friendships. And you might not realize it. One of the things that my husband does all the time, because this is how he was raised, he always opens the door for me and my daughter, whether it's a door to the house, a door to any building, our car doors, always. And I don't expect it. It's just who he is. And there was one day that, our daughter was talking about, hey, Dad, one day I'm going to, have a boyfriend, and more like tongue in cheek to see Dad's reaction. And, we played around with it, and we're like, no, you can't date till you're 35. And she said, but you know what? Here's the thing. I want somebody to open doors for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, there you go. Because she's like, I don't see a lot of guys doing that nowadays. She's like, Dad, I only really see you do it. And I was like, I don't know what's being taught, but if that's one of your non-negotiables, it's not necessarily opening the door. It's respect for her. Like, she sees that as a respectful behavior.
My sons know that the door, and it's not because I'm a queen, I'm a woman. My sons know door gets open for mom and any other woman. They know. It doesn't matter if it's a door or a front door, or a car door. It doesn't. And it's so cute because, Jacob is going to be 16, and now he's like, Mom, you're not allowed to walk next to the road. You have to walk inside. Let me walk on this outside of the road so nothing happens to you. And I'm like, okay, but that's my husband,
Yes.
husband Max.
Yes.
Really,
My husband does the same thing.
he's big
Yeah.
about that. He's like,
Yeah.
you need to be treated well.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like we spent a lot of time talking about like the negative side of stress and the negative side of things. I also just want to remind people that there's also good stress.
Oh, absolutely.
But here's the thing. Same chemicals are being secreted.
Really?
So same thing. So it's all going to feel the same. I talked about this when we talked about anxiety, that when you're anxious and when you're excited, it feels the same way oftentimes.
That's funny.
Same thing with good stress and bad stress. It's all the same chemicals being released. So gosh, how do I know that this is good stress? Because I'm stressed. But you know what? Like moving to a new house, you're so excited because you found your dream home. That's good stress. But darn it,
Relationships, getting
I'm still going to
married.
break my nails because I'm stressed.
Yeah.
You know?
Marriage, having children, good
Yes.
stress.
Yes. Yep. Getting that new job, getting the promotion you wanted. It's good stress, but it just still can feel very overwhelming. So that's why we said earlier, identify your physical reactions, identify what you're thinking. Are you crying more? Are you snapping at people more? Identify what those behaviors are. And then you can identify it before, like, you're up to here with the stress. Maybe you're only to here. And that's much more manageable than being up to here.
And
of
if
course,
you need help,
if you're listening to this on audio, you have absolutely no idea what I just did.
Yeah, no, it goes eyebrows to neck,
right?
Back to eyebrows. But okay, and you guys, seriously, and to deal with the transitional good stress, bad stress, regardless, these are the perfect reasons to set up a session with Jennifer and I on our website that has just been published this week, which is, again, we're so excited that you guys are a part of this journey with us. Like, this is so cool to share step by step with you. But you can visit our website. And Jennifer, what website have you put together for us?
It is www.thedivinebesties.com. Go on there, check us out. Check out. We right now we have what we're calling Bestie intro offers. They are good through September 30th. So check it out and, spend some time with us. Come October 1st, obviously the rates are going to change. If you have just some general questions, or if you want to send us a question that you want us to talk about on our podcast, email us at thedivinebesties@gmail.com. And, give me 24 to 48 hours, depending on what's going on. I promise you will get a response. And check us out on social media, The Divine Besties, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Please.
We're there.
And you can find me at soulworkerstacyrenee.com. I am merging into the Divine Besties by the end of the year. I made a post. It's just going to be a different way to contact me and a different way to pull in, like I said, more sessions. It's going to be something where Jennifer and I are really trying to do more tag team. I'm really trying to help more people get through the things that they're dealing with. And the Divine Besties isn't just a podcast, it's becoming a brand. And again, we cannot wait to continue to share as all of this comes to be and into fruition. Wow, if I could talk today. Just enjoy the journey with us, you guys, and have some fun. Until next time, I suppose. Jennifer, sign us out, my love.
We're out.
All right, pieces. Wow. Bye, you guys. Love you.